My name is Karabo Makin, and I describe myself as a multidisciplinary artist and DJ. I describe what I do as audiovisual storytelling with a research archival base. I define my work as an experiment in bringing together my background in sculpture and sound. One of the key concerns is that I often have a research archival base, which often has to do with history, art history in particular, and the sociopolitics in the Southern African region. In some ways, this has to do with familial histories, family histories, or some sort of familiarity in the region, but can also extend to grand narratives and fragments of the archive that are left out of the grand narrative. There have been often a time where I felt my work was misunderstood. It's quite an interesting sort of experience because I think oftentimes as the artist, we are not fully in control of the interpretations or perceptions of our work. And so each work that we put out becomes an interesting conversation between artist and viewer or listener, where we negotiate our different interpretations. And so in the past, because I've worked popularly with nude pantyhose, at times people will read my work with undertones of femininity, feminism, sexuality, and the sort. But this isn't necessarily something that I go into my work with the intention of challenging, speaking about, or addressing. I can't take away from the fact that I am a woman, and perhaps the pantyhose does have these sorts of connotations, but I'm particularly interested in using nude pantyhose for their raciality specifically. I see my work as playing an integral role in the broader society. It's quite hard for me to remove that from art communities, as I'd like to think that my work has a social responsibility in directly contributing to the development of the arts or of creative industries, particularly in Botswana. And so I am often concerned with, as I say, the social responsibility embedded in my practice, whereby I'm interested in using art and culture as a tool or instrument for change. What I've learned through engaging the historiography of Medu Art Ensemble with my MFA project is really that I am inspired by their use of culture as a weapon or tool for change. And I think that this has inspired a social responsibility in how I view my art practice. In addition, I'm particularly interested in developing community, building community, as well as alternative art spaces and artist-led spaces. And so I think that through the history of Medu Art Ensemble in my home in Botswana, I'm particularly interested in how I can unpack the art history that happened in the spaces that I frequent, and to what extent I can learn from this in contributing to the development of the arts going forward. The Botswana Pavilion was founded in 2019 and is currently made up of 5 core members, including myself and my friends and colleagues Lehakwana Leo Makgekgenene, Thebe Phetogo, Thero Makepe, and Sadi Shwalane. We came together to form the Botswana Pavilion with the intention of coexisting as an art collective, but furthermore as a platform for artists practicing in Botswana as well as from Botswana. It's a platform whereby we are interested in showcasing art from Botswana as a way to increase international visibility of Botswana art on the world map, as well as a space within which we encourage conversation about how we can encourage or nurture creative development locally. I do see my experience in radio as well as in DJing as an extension of my artistic practice. In fact, I think of it as a part of my artistic practice. I feel that through my experience working on campus radio and my experience performing live as a DJ, I believe these to be tools within which I am able to extend my art practice, particularly in the mixing or manipulation of sound and sound installations. And so I think that this is just a unique way within which I'm able to challenge sound as a medium within which to make art. And this is where my sculpture background comes in, because I'm interested in marrying my background across sculpture and sound and rethinking the way that we experience sound, challenging us to think through sound as three-dimensional. And so this encourages a unique spatial awareness in how I approach my works of art, such that it creates a guided experience of space and sound together with sculptures, sometimes activating sculptures with sound. One of my most recent projects includes the collector's exhibition that we hosted with the Art Residency Center here in Botswana in collaboration with Bafana Art. It was a very well-attended event and included a panel discussion, and really the event was centered around nurturing or encouraging a culture of collecting locally. I think that the event was very well attended. In fact, it surpassed our expectations, and it really was some sort of stamp of approval in that we have managed to engage and develop a local art community that is supportive of these sorts of conversations, and furthermore in investing in the arts long term. My views about art and its institutions are that I am somewhat skeptical of the institution specifically. I think that to some extent it is important for us to learn the traditions of art historically in order for us to challenge that and in order for us to break the rules. And I think that's where the fun part comes in. I strongly believe that art and society are inextricably tied, because I am invested in making art that feeds or nurtures the society in some way or the other. I believe that art should have a social responsibility, and I feel that this is the most productive way to make art, whereby it's directly engaging societal issues. One thing that I think should be at the forefront of any art institutions, particularly considering the concerns that came out of the COVID-19 pandemic, is accessibility. I think that it was quite interesting to see the manner in which a number of art institutions challenged the way that they would traditionally function, to open up accessibility to some extent. And for me, I believe that art has particular meaning and value when the conversation surrounding the works of art can extend outside of the four walls of the gallery space. A particular instance within which I thought was particularly productive as a solution to the concerns that were highlighted by the COVID-19 pandemic was an increase in guided tours or audio tours, such as the Zeitz Museum of Contemporary Art. I particularly enjoyed their guided audio tours for the manner in which it encouraged a particular engagement of the works, whether you are guided through the works in space or otherwise available for playback at a later stage or within the comfort of your home via SoundCloud. I'm particularly interested in these sorts of audio tours because I think that, as I say, it extends the conversation around the art outside of the gallery space. And I really think that it is this sort of transporting of the conceptual concerns and weighting of the work that are able to really highlight the meaning and value of the work itself for the society and local art communities at large. This is a bit of a tricky one because value in art is defined by a number of things. In the first place, I think as any artist, it is important to define value in your works of art through the concept that you've created. Of course, to some extent, things that contribute to value in art is production costs, labor costs, material costs, and that sort of thing. But I think that at the forefront is really creating a strong concept that people resonate with. To some extent, this becomes a conversation between artist, let's say gallerist or collector. But I think it is important for the artist to define what that concept and what they've created, what that really means for them before anyone else has a say. Yes, I have collaborated and will continue to do so. I have collaborated alongside my comrades at the Botswana Pavilion, as well as with the Art Residency Center, who I'm currently working with. My views on collaboration are that it is extremely productive. I think it's an important space within which artists are kind of encouraged to step outside of their comfort zone and work on something new alongside friends or colleagues. I think it's an interesting opportunity to challenge the way that an artist, generically works and to create something special. Really, I don't see any cons of collaboration because I think through collaboration you can bring together networks, you can bring together unique ideas, and if anything, I don't think artists should necessarily work alone. Honestly, I'm really for art and rebellion or art and disruption. I think that it is important to some extent to learn the traditions of art in order to be able to break the rules effectively or successfully. And once you get there, I think I would really just nurture and promote the art of disruption. I think it's particularly productive for us to continue to challenge the way that we understand art within a global context, within a Western context, and more specifically within our home context, within my home context in Botswana. Honestly, I believe that it is only through disruption that we will be able to challenge the status quo and build space, build community for the arts in a way that is productive for artists. And this is why I strongly believe in artist-led spaces or alternative art spaces. I think that it is through these sorts of spaces that we will be able to disrupt the sort of bureaucracy that tends to limit art institutions, and instead we can focus on creating our own opportunities in the absence of that sort of support. I would say that the most important resource for myself as an art practitioner today is music. In my honest opinion, I think that it is important that artists have some sort of space, whether it's an activity, a hobby, or something of the sort, within which to sort of switch off and get lost. And that for me is music. I think that music is inspiring. For me, music is an essential resource for my art practice.